Okay. Ready to start. Good evening to the Winnebago tribal members. Welcome to the mid-monthly tribal council meeting. This is a meeting rescheduled from January 17th. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 5:10 p.m. And I'd like to ask Vice Chairman Chamberlain to say our evening prayer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. I'll try to be brief with this. Mauna, our Father in heaven, we come to you today with grateful hearts and in gratitude for all the many blessings that you place into our lives each and every day. We thank you for being with us as we discuss the affairs of our tribe, and we ask that you be with our tribal members in the four directions, those that are in mourning, those that are in need of your guidance and your loving touch, those that protect what we do, and those that are looking out for our future and that are our future. Thank you, Lord, for all the blessings that you provide for us every day. Thank you, and we say these things in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Ryan. Council, we have an agenda prepared, and we also have a few additions. Under new business, we have a USDA resolution from the planning department. Under tribal council items, we have a resignation letter and also an executive session to add. Are there any other additions? Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, just so you know, before we approve the agenda, is the Aaron Lapointe and Trey Blackhawk, they're going to be doing a short PowerPoint presentation, and they asked if they could be moved to the beginning of the meeting because Aaron is coaching a game.
Okay.
So, you know.
Sure. So you want to move that that new business number 1 to before the minutes then? Let's do that then.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll do that new business before the reading of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Brian. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Eric. Discussion. Objection to the motion. 6-0-0. Motion carried. 7-0-0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. 6-0-0. Okay. I'd like to invite Aaron to share his screen and provide some discussion on the meat processing project.
Can you guys see the presentation?
Yes. It's your screen's not enlarged all the way. There you go. Like in slideshow view, it's not in slideshow view.
Oh, okay. Is it now?
Yep, looks good.
All right, Trey's actually gonna start off with the presentation. So go ahead, Trey, you can unmute.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say good evening, council, and who's all tuning in today. Yeah, this is something that me and Aaron's kind of been working on. We just always talk about sustainability and, food systems and, food sovereignty. And this is one of the steps, I believe, on being sovereign, as a nation, is controlling our own food systems. So we have this, it's pretty short. It's just a quick slideshow, but if Aaron, you want to go to the next slide. So we've been working on this, and we just feel that a mobile harvest unit is something that, the tribe can handle at this moment, just because, that might be later discussion is how we move forward on doing certain things with this. But we kind of just wanted to take this on because of, our bison herd and, stuff being at full capacity at other meat lockers, that we feel that we should pursue this. So this is something we've been working on. As you can see in the picture, you'll see this is the mobile harvest unit that you can take into the field. So you'll need a semi to pull this around. Here you'll see the inside of it, where you'll eventually you'll butcher your cattle or bison and you'll load it up into the trailer. You can see the railing at the top. So I believe the second picture would be the freezer. So after you harvest and you take everything into the freezer, and this slide is just all the compartments, the generator, where all check your water lines, and the electricity and everything is all there. You'll see that. Also, that there is going to be training on this. So the people, the Friesla who, if we decide on purchasing this, that we can do training, 2-week intensive training. While they'll come here, they'll travel here and show you how to do everything, slaughtering, how to run the whole operation. So that'll be good too. Aaron, if you could go to the next slide. And here's a few pictures on there, what it looks like. I believe the next slides are just showing of, people using it, kind of how it's used. You can see some cattle there getting loaded up into the trailer. And you can see them hanging. But also, this is the cut and wrap room. So there, I believe on the next thing that we have to present, that you'll see 3 buildings ultimately will be the harvest unit, where you'll take it into the field, and then you'll have the cut and wrap. The cut and wrap room, this is the cut and wrap room, where you'll have all your equipment in there to do, to grind your meat down, or, specific meat cuts. You'll do all this in this room. So once the meat, cures for a week to 10 days, that you'll bring it in here and you'll do all your cutting and wrapping. And then from there, you'll move it on to the freezer. So I think, yeah. So this is just kind of you'll see some people, doing the cuts and everything, which like I mentioned before, that you'll have a USDA inspector. He'll come here and show you how to run everything, run all the equipment. And also the guy that will be coming and doing the training, he's worked for the USDA as a certified meat processor for 35 plus years. So he knows the in and outs of the whole slaughtering systems, and and all that. There he is. You can read a little bit about him. But I think this is what separates this company that we'd be purchasing it from, is that they have this guy that's he's been around the block a few times, and he knows the in and outs of the whole meat processing. So, but when I first talked to Friesla, which would be kind of going on a year in April, I believe, when I first requested a quote from Friesla, that they really wanted to help the tribe, and I say tribe because this is I feel this is important for our tribe to have. And I've been in talks with them, and it kind of sat idle for a while, and I wanted to reach back out to see how we can get this thing moving. So I'm glad that we're here today having this discussion. But that was just a short little presentation that you'll see. There was a video, but that's not working. So, but I believe there's another presentation that kind of shows the specs and everything of the slaughter unit or the harvest unit, and then the 2 modules the cut and wrap room, and then you'll have your freezer where you'll store your meat. See right here, you can see the layouts and everything.
Okay.
So I'll kind of just give this back to Aaron and let him talk about this.
Yeah, so Trey showed in the slideshow, it showed this harvest unit, which, like he said, works well for bison because you can actually go out and you're not loading them things up. But these other modules, they're permanent structures that'll be placed probably out to the tribal farm as a cut and wrap room, then a freezer for finished products after everything is cut and wrapped. So those will be on site there, and then this mobile unit will be like we said, we can go out in the field and harvest, or if it is cattle and we're doing it for somebody else, or we're bringing our own cattle in, we can actually bring it to the site there and do this right on site. But we thought this was a better system for us because there's totally mobile, there's totally like in place area, like doing like a in place mobile or in place unit. But we feel like this fits our need a lot better because we can actually drive out to the pastures and harvest these bison in the pastures. Or if there's other tribes that need their bison harvested, we can drive there and have them slaughtered and then drive back to Winnebago to where this is located and do the finishing, processing, the cutting and wrapping in our cutting and wrapping room. So one thing before I dive into this, which has the proposal, and this should have all been sent to the tribal council. I think Trey sent you guys this proposal with the plan and as a proposed price, which shows the technical assistance with the USDA guy training. You can even see in that slide that they train how to do meat cuttings. They teach you how to process. They'll come do the first couple animals with you and teach the people that are going to be working on it. And like Trey said, this really makes them stand out from anybody else, because for us going into something new that we've never done, I think it's important that we spend the money to get the quality of what we need. And having these guys they've been doing these mobile units and operating these services for 20 years now. So they've worked with other tribes. They told us they worked with the tribe in Montana and in Utah. So they have a little bit of experience working with tribes as well. But this technical assistance is really important, I believe. And they offer it in their proposal. And after we move forward with the purchase, if we do, that consulting fee is just added to the entire cost. It's credited to the entire cost. But I wanted to share this ecosystem that they have, our system, because it kind of shows where we are right now. And really, we're in those pre-business consulting, just really simple planning discussions of, do we want to do this or not? And as you guys seen in the proposals, it's going to cost a lot of money, but you have to consider the need as well. And I know that the tribal council has expressed to me and Trey in the past that everybody's on board. They want to see this happen. And through me and Trey's homework of going and finding different quotes and identifying people that we think would be a great fit, we've decided that this is probably our recommendation to the tribe to look into working with these guys. And it shows that they'll be working with us throughout this entire process here of pre-business consulting. And then if we do jump on board with it, then they'll help us design our site plan, and that the units will actually be modified to our needs based off of where we're putting it at. And since we're doing bison, we talked about it today on a meeting with them, that we'll probably have to raise the ceilings in our slaughter unit, because after going to Intertribal Ag Council, there was other tribes that were doing this, and they had to modify their units because they weren't tall enough. So instead of getting a unit totally finished and then finding out it's not tall enough, knowing those issues by doing a little bit of homework, it might alleviate it, because these units are built by scratch based on our needs. So if we do decide to go with them, we design our site, then they send it to manufacturing, and then they're willing to work with us through the USDA regulations and planning and training with the gentlemen that worked for USDA for so long, which is a huge asset and a huge plus for us. And they shared how important it is to have him. And then it's implementing it, doing the installation, and then training on how to run the facility, how to do the cutting, how to stay in compliance with the USDA so that we can eventually sell these to, let's say, our food distribution building, our schools, all those places that require USDA inspected meat. And if we wanted to take things to market, you would definitely want that to be USDA inspected because it has to be able to sell it to an outside market. But I wanted to share this because it's really important that you guys understand the process of where we're at. We're really just right at the beginning, and we have a couple of asks at the end of this presentation. But I wanted to share that with you quick, and then we'll go through this this quick proposal, which you guys have probably already seen. But you can see we went over that layout, and then these kind of break down each part of what's in these units. We went through the visuals of it with the PowerPoint. Trey did a good job of going through that. This is just some pictures that was in our proposal. And then this is the proposal. So the big thing is the consulting contract for 10 grand, which will help us design the plans. As you can see, they'll even help us with our business plan, which was one of the asks that we had today is kind of what the tribe is thinking about for this. What's the goal of our finished product when we have fresh cut beef or bison? But these are the consulting items that they'll offer for us. And like I said, it says it right there that this deposit is applied directly to the purchase of your system. And then it goes through. There's the price of about a little over 1.1 million that buys everything, and it has a breakdown of each modular and the processing unit, what's in it. Then it shows all the technical assistance offered. This Dr. Greg Sherman, he's the USDA guy that'll help us maintain or understand how to have a USDA certified unit, and then all the trainings that he'll do with us. And then a breakdown of all these other pieces. And we wanted to share it. It's real, like I said, it's real high level and simple. And I know we talked about, well, if we're gonna do this, we need the for sure okay. And one of the asks that me and Trey had discussed was something we want feedback from our tribal council is, what is the end result of this? Or is this gonna be, do we want to develop a brand for this bison or beef that we're processing? Because this will be finished, that unit finishes it down to basically some T-bones and some New York strips and some ground beef or some ground bison. What do we want to do with that? What's our end goal? Because the budget that you guys were presented with showed it really as more of a custom business where people would bring in animals, we had harvest them, charge them $875 per head. And that would be sustainable with the numbers that you guys seen. Or is it us bringing our own bison and our own cattle and developing a brand? And if that's the case, in that budget, we don't have a budget for accounting, for marketing, for things like that. And if that's something that the tribe is really focused on, or if it's something that they want to see, then we need to know that now, because that'll be a part of the planning of this, developing this business plan to have a budget for accounting. And one of the things I wanted to ask was what is the tribe's accounting capacity? Is it something that tribal accounting can already do? Or what's really the direction that the tribe wanted to go after this? Because we really wanted to know what the plan was there. And if this is what you guys want to do, if this is the business we want to buy from, then I think our first steps would be to go out and visit. They invited us out to come see an actual unit in process, watching them process a few animals, seeing how it all works, how it lays out, and if it's something, kind of get to see what we're going to buy, if that's how you want to say it. But I think it's important that not only me and Trey go see these things, but we bring tribal leadership with us too, to be able to visualize and see. I know it's out in Washington and it's an investment to go even see this, but if we're serious about it, then I think that's our next step. That's me and Trey's recommendation, is to make a trip out. But we'd love for tribal leadership to be on as well. But other than that, that's pretty much all the information and slides that we wanted to share with you guys. Trey, if you have anything else, you could share that as well. But really, we wanted a little bit of feedback from the tribal leadership as well on what is the plan for the finished product. Are we going to be developing a market? If so, the budget and the marketing plan will have to be developed in this business plan.
Thanks, Aaron, and thank you, Trey, for presenting this information to the council tonight. This has been really helpful in getting a visual on what they actually look like. From the discussions that I've been a part of, there is a lot of support for this. Thank you guys for getting this far in the process to come up with which direction this goes. My support, is still strong. My question, and this kind of maybe leads into that consulting contract, is the sustainability of the operation. And this is probably also dependent on which direction the tribe wants to go. And so I'll just say my input and then turn the floor to the council. Was that there was talks of this project, I think, in the past with the wildlife and parks, and it was because of the lack of availability to butcher our own buffalo. And that was an already ongoing issue and something the program had identified. And then the pandemic hit, and there was just a renewed support for this project, and how, without knowing what it's going to be like in the future, what cost of goods are going to be like, the tribes seem to want to have their own systems in place to feed our people and not have to be reliant on things that are outside of our control, like semis coming across the country and quarantines and whatever would impact supply and demand. So that was always my reason for wanting to support this, was to really take hold of that food sovereignty at the very top with our protein. So that's what I got to say. I'm looking forward to the way this business plan shapes up, and really what the tribe can afford. I think that's the realistic conversation, is what we can afford and what we can sustain. And if it comes down to something that really hit the fan, we'd want to feed our people, and other things become less important. Like, I don't know, I can't even think of something that we less important, but you get the picture. So that's what I want to say, and thank you guys. Eric, before I recognize you, I'm going to recognize Lorelei, since she's been helpful in shepherding this along. So Lorelei.
Well, I just want to thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Trey. And I want to thank the Food Sovereignty Task Force. The wonderful work that you guys have all been doing to get us our fresh fruit and vegetables from out on our farm, working with our local people to be able to plant in their yards, working with other people we've partnered with to plant fruit trees out at our farm. And also we're going to have a chicken operation out there for eggs. And the tribe saw into the future, and they used some of that CARES Act money to put in a brand new well out there at the farm, in order for us to have enough water for all the things we're envisioning that we're going to put out there. So I just want to say thank you about that. I really believe that everything comes when it's supposed to from the Creator. And there's a reason for this. And I think back to when our Winnebago people were at Fort Thompson, and the stories we heard about how they were starving and the things they had to do to feed the children. And many of them died there. And once we came to our new homeland here, we said never again. But this pandemic hit us. And it's happening, what we're seeing right before. And how our very eyes is the world and how it functions, food systems. That's all changing because of this epidemic. Look at, in this past year, the they lost a lot of the people that haul the food to the stores we like to go to and buy groceries. All those people, they don't even have enough drivers to supply the stores, which is causing the prices to go up. Look at all those containers that are sitting on those ports off of the coastline, and they can't even get the goods into where our stores are in this country. And I don't see that this pandemic is going to end. This virus keeps mutating. And so to me, everything's coming together for us. And I'm thankful for that, that it's right in front of us. We have to create the system where we will feed our own people no matter what happens outside. Look at these local lockers that used to do the meat processing for everyone. You can't even get an appointment to get a cow slaughtered. It's 5, 6, 7 months out because this pandemic affected the meat processing plants. So to me, thankfully, we got this ARPA money. And I'm ready to let one of the buildings we were talking about go in order to buy this system. I think we need to. And the one I think that it would be wonderful, but it's a luxury if we were able to fit all the needs and meet all the needs of our people, we could have a beautiful cultural building. But what good will a beautiful cultural building be if our people are starving? So we got this opportunity with these funds. And to me, we need to believe in our young people. They went out and found out a way that we could keep our people fed. And so I'm in full support of this. And I even see like envisioning other things. Like we have a grant right now, the tribe does a 5-year grant under our education program to send our young people and get them vocational training. So we could actually send a workforce to get trained as certified meat cutters under this grant we got right now. And we can send some of our young people to go wherever they gotta go to be a certified USDA beef inspector or a certified USDA buffalo inspector. And also these farmers in this area here, they can't get their meat processed. So we could actually sustain this operation by number one, with USDA certified meat processing, we can sell to our own school. We can sell to care. We can sell to our senior center, our meats. But we can also take the area farmers and other people that are looking for meat processing and charge them in order to sustain this business. So all the pieces are here. And I want to say it's time to go for it. I'm in full support of this. So thank you.
Louis, I'm having trouble speaking today. There's two key issues that I'm concerned about. We need USDA certification. That allows us to sell it commercially. That allows us to store it so we can use it in a head start, in the public schools, in the hospital. So we need that USDA inspection. In education, we have a college that can process those students to get them certified in our own school. We use our facilities there. The other area we gotta closely is the market. A lot of small buffalo operations are caught in a bind. They have buffalo, but they can't process them. They've been in support for the Winnebago tribe because I helped them lobby on several issues in unicameral. We got to ally with them to make sure that we have enough animals to process. One name of the game is the volume that you process. You got to keep that piece of equipment up and going full time. You got to have the finances to do it. Where we're going to get the finances to operate it. I want to do it. Our people deserve it. They deserve our best efforts. Thank you.
Tori, can I just chime in a little bit? Louis brought up a good point. So Lower Prairie Tribal College is going to launch their ag school next semester, and meat processing is one of their areas of that you can go into study in partnership with Northeast Community College. So that's in place already, Louis, and this next coming semester when the ag school launches, it'll be in there.
So thank you, Louis, for those comments. And I kind of consider Louis our in-house Buffalo expert. He got our own subject matter expert. So that's really good that we have that. So kind of coupled with what Lorelai's saying and what Louis shared, this has all the potential to be successful. And I think having the council support and kind of some of these cautionary advice up front is going to take us a long way. Eric, I know you had your hand up earlier. Do you want to share your comment?
Yes, thank you. For the price that we're paying for this trailer, with the raised ceilings, would that change the price on it? And how many individuals would this take to operate?
I'm guessing it might increase it a little bit. That's something that we'll have a discussion with if that's the case. I don't see it being very much. I think it's 11 foot tall already, so we'd be raising it a foot. I don't see that being very big, but I do know that the budget was sent to you guys too. It shows the profitability, and it has 4 people running it. It has a manager and 3 operators. And Trey can speak to this because it's not my department, but I do believe he planned on having a couple of his tribal farmers already be a part of that budget. But from my understanding, you guys were sent that. I wasn't in the initial email, but it shows how many people. It even shows like the operating cost. It shows the profitability of it at I think there's 5 head a week or something. So I didn't share that. I didn't know if that was too much in detail, but.
Well, the thing if we're going to start using it as a business, I think it would be the budget will be self-sustaining if we keep it like that, because as it's been said, a lot of the local meat lockers, they're backed up for way. If we killed something today, it would be rotten and gone by the time we even had the chance to have it in and out of that meat locker. And so, yeah, I agree with this. I'm in full support of this. But once the ball gets moving on this, and as it's been said, when our tribal members in our tribe come up with a feast or wakes or anything that might be needed at that time, that they will have priority over the regular business of outside entities or individuals. That when the tribe or enrolled members need to do something, that we kind of push everything back and squeeze them in there. And as far as that Washington trip would go, I would like to see the council actually attend that, because this is a pretty big budget, and it's going to be a pretty big operation that we're going to be looking at and starting. And so I think it'd be beneficial. It would behoove the council to go out there and see what we're going to be getting ourselves into. So with that said, thank you, Aaron and Trey, for your help in bringing us this far and informing our enrolled membership at the same time as well. You know, that's really good. I appreciate that. So with that said, thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Back to Louis.
Larry, we have to look at, if we made native foods, it would need USDA inspection. It would need FDA inspection for products. The problem you have making products with buffalo, you have to add 3% beef fat to the product. And that's contrary to what you're using it for diabetics and heart patients. You don't need the beef fat. You need that processed through FDA, so you don't have to deal with that beef. But there's other avenues we can follow and we can market. The problem is marketing enough to make our cash flow in the plant. Thank you.
Thanks, Louis. Aaron, back to that site visit. When are you guys anticipating? Is that something in the spring? Is that something down the line? I guess the cart before the horse, I guess, do we need to see a full business plan before the tribe decides, or before they decide either which one? I guess I'm thinking about it kind of like the radio station. They were like, hey, there's this free radio station we could give you guys. And then the tribe took it. And then Garen really thankfully took hold of that and brought it to a successful end project, but it was not free. And I'm not suggesting this is free. I just want to know that we know that going into the future, once we purchase this, maybe that's an additional $75,000 added to appropriations to operations. And before the program was self-sustaining, that's the kind of questions that I guess I want the council to know. There's other programs within the tribe. You know, when the grant's over, the tribe might pick up that and sustain that. So that's where I'm coming from, is the money, and our treasurer's on the line here. And I know that she's always wanting the numbers. So Aaron, what stage do you think the council needs to have that type of technical assistance?
So we would, the technical assistance that they would offer to help develop the business, well, I think we can move forward a lot. From what I'm getting is we're going to have to take these things to market because you want it to be feasible for the tribe financially. As you guys see the numbers that I didn't share in the presentation, but you guys were emailed, it cash flows pretty well. It even had like a financing fee, which if you guys used ARPA or some other funding source, you wouldn't have that. But the big ask, like I said, was what's the plan with the finished product, because that's going to be a huge part of that business plan, because you got to add to that budget. So we weren't, I mean, I would say the sooner the better to get out to Washington to see if this is the facility or this is the company we want to buy through. This is me and Trey's recommendation, because Trey's been reaching out to tons of other places, and these guys not only are probably the most qualified and offer the most services, but they're the most responsive. And they've been talking to Trey for over a year now. And I think we go visit them even before you decide on doing the processing. I know it's a little bit of an investment because it's going to cost to go out there, but to get like a great quality opportunity, I believe that you're going to have to spend a little money to go see it. But as for the business plan, I mean, like I said, that was the feedback I needed from you guys, because after seeing how it cash flowed from the spreadsheet that was sent to you guys, there was nothing included in there for accounting or marketing or anything like that, which for your guys' plan to be able to sell to the food distribution center or to the school or to the stores or anything, you would need to do that. And I didn't know the tribe's capabilities from an accounting standpoint, whether they could do that themselves already or if this is a whole nother budget item for the accounting team to add. So I wanted some feedback there too.
Oh, he has a comment.
Hello, good job, guys. I would fully support this as long as we start talking like in the future. Somehow we could use our sovereignty, a tax break to do these things that people are paying using EBT and stuff to go to the butcher shop just to get boxes of roast and pork steaks and whatever, and we have these band saws and grinders and stuff, and even to buy whatever to even basic just a hamburger at a discounted price for our tribal members. That'd be a great idea. It is. I totally support it if that was in it, and if it's possible. I'm talking our people can spend their EBT. You have this. It's going to be USDA certified, so if it's totally possible, yeah, that's what I look forward to. Is I don't know how much slaughtering would really be done. I was looking somewhere where there was a maximum of, it just said 20 to 30 hogs a week or whatever, but a couple bison a week somewhere. That's a lot of meat, a bison and a cow. But to use that equipment, that bandsaw, the grinders and slicers and stuff, where we can buy cases of already kind of processed beef and whatever. We can slice it up into steaks and roasts and whatever people need, stew meat, hamburger, it would be great. If we can get them a discount price where they don't have to go to Sioux City, and somehow we're still sustaining our, we need that budget, we need that money for our operators, to do that stuff. And it's a great idea. I support it. As long as that's in there. Yep.
Yep, this is where I shared my screen, it shows the system capacity, and they translated it from the hogs to actual bison and beef. So it shows 5 to 7 bison and beef per week. That's harvest end process, so that's pretty much end product. Or if you're just out harvesting, it can harvest 15 per day, either bison or beef. That would be just killing and dressing. And then you can see right in there too, it's beef, bison, it's also deer, goat, pork, meat. Like it's sized to do. I mean, I think the deer thing is a big opportunity as well.
Okay, the one that we got sent, it says system capacity is harvest and process 15 to 30 hogs per week.
Yeah,
1,000, 2,000 pounds smoked products per week. That's the one I'm seeing. That's good. It's good.
Yeah, they updated it. They updated it when we had our meeting at 3:00 with them to be translated into bison and beef to fit this exact one.
Great. So also does the tractor, does that come included in it, or would we have to buy one to pull that?
That was, if you look at that entire budget that was sent to you at the very end, there's $150,000 budgeted for site work, which would be probably, in this case, would be developing a road at the tribal farm to these areas, doing the concrete work. But that also covers a truck. Me and Trey talked about it. We didn't know. I mean, only time it would probably be mobile is when we're doing bison, which we would probably rotate every week or whether just depending on the schedule. But if that's something where they partner with the roads department or partner with Ocean Farms for trucking, just to get the unit there, because really that unit that is portable is just to kill, just to go out and harvest and skin, and then you can bring those back to the centralized location where the modules for cutting and wrapping is. But it is in that final budget. If you look at the numbers that was emailed to you at the very end, there's $150,000 budget for site prep and a truck. If you wanted to buy a truck, me and Trey talked about it. We thought, I don't think you'd really need, the tribal farm would need a semi with the other entities that could potentially help. to save money.
When you change species from beef to bison, you have to go through major cleanup of the plant before you can begin to process another species. So you're gonna have, you can't just clean the plant up 2 or 3 hogs and clean it up. You went back to bison, it wouldn't be cost effective. Cheyenne River Soup got rid of their entrails by having a door. And the pickups, tribal people would come with a pickup, and the tractor would come open, and that tribal member would get all the entrails in a pickup truck and take off. That's how they handle their problem. I like the concept of having a mobile unit going into the pasture, because buffalo can be pretty hard on equipment in a packing house. You have to design them a certain way. You have to kill them in a certain way. You do it wrong now, they penetrate the hull with a rifle bullet. The coaches don't like the hull penetrated like that. There's other ways to do it, which is also safe and preserve the skull. Thank you.
Hey, Tori, I am gonna have to dip out of here in about 3 minutes.
Okay,
One note that I had though is I don't know if you guys want to look at potentially having either like planning and development or somebody look into funding sources, because I feel like there's a ton of money out there for something like this. Maybe it won't cost you that much out of ARPA. I do know that there's even some money in like the Build Back Better Act that's in the process right now, or even looking at infrastructure bill if there's something flexible for tribal allocations. Because this is really a hot topic at Indian country, so maybe having them reach out to somebody that might have access to other funds, so you're not having to spend ARPA funds. But either way, I think it's important. But I'm definitely looking to Build Back Better, because we just had a legislative call today, and there's a lot around food sovereignty too.
thanks, Aaron. From the comments that I've heard, I think that there is support to get this done. We need to figure out, where this lives, where this is going to continue to be funded from. We need council delegation to commit to looking at this in Washington. I'm also interested in how OTO's operation is going. We did learn that OTO set up an operation and that they have something like this. So I know you have to go and kind of an ad hoc presentation. I'm just trying to keep the support alive. And I think it's there. We just need to firm up the details and have bring, I guess, a level of comfort on how we sustain this. Does council have any other comments for what they'd like to see next?
Hey, Tori, this is Rona. I just want to thank you, Aaron, for, getting what you could together. It was, you just barely, finished up with your regular work and everything. And, it is all about sustainability. I totally support this. I just know we need to find funding, like you said, public grants. And I see that Joyce Johnson's on the line, that maybe we could have her start looking up some different other funding sources that might be out there and possibly try to match it somehow with whatever funding we can find. You know, I'm not guaranteeing I don't think there's anything in ARPA right now. Like there's no cultural center in ARPA funds, that's for sure. So that wouldn't work. And, but just, you know, thank you, Trey and Aaron, for your hard work this far. I would be interested in, you know, maybe another work group or what would your next step be, Aaron? Would you like support to go on with this business plan? And then we get, what was it?
No, I just
10,000?
asked that the consultant fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was for 10,000. I'm not asking for that.
Oh, okay.
I think we go visit before we decide to hire them as consultants. Like I said, they invited us out to see the facilities, see it in action if that's really what we want. I think that's our next step, is to maybe plan a trip. And now that I have a better understanding of, more than likely is to be sustainable, it'll have to be a marketed product. I can add that into, because all the financial stuff shared with you guys was just to operate the processing, has nothing with accounting and marketing, which if that's the goal, then there'll have to be a budget for that as well.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Good luck tonight.
Thank you. I think Isaac wanted to say something too.
Good, Isaac.
Not this, and I was thinking about this. Louis brought up some good points. Basically, every time you change the animal that you're going to be processing, you have to shut down the whole plant, clean it, everything like that. The other thing too is that if we was able to get somebody USDA certified, or even get this up and running, USDA certified, you have the kids cafe that could also probably benefit from some of the goo, some of the meat from there, and then the public school. Those are two possibly billing places that we could sell the meat to from one of our local herds. And then you also have the commod building. There's a lot of homework in between there to figure out the details, but it basically be building a building, setting it up, and then finding our way to get our own meat to our own people. It's not a something that's impossible, but at the same time too, I think that if we're able to do this, then it's in the long run, it shows that we're able to continue on if something else should go on. And all the things that Lorelei brought up earlier about some of the stuff that in Indian country and throughout the world, all the stuff that's going on with getting food back here and stuff like that. I think it's really something good that we need to try to pursue. And I was looking at the infrastructure bill, and I was kind of thinking about how that would tie in there. I didn't get through all of it, but to me, the infrastructure bill is basically here's to help build up your infrastructure in case another pandemic happens. So from what little bit I was able to get some time and read about, was basically saying this building would possibly fit in there. It would just be how would we get that? How would we make that work for us as far as infrastructure? Because it's adding a new building, it's adding something to the food. So I think that if we were able to really visit that infrastructure bill and kind of take a look at that might be a possible funding source instead of relying on the ARPA stuff. And then some of the things that are going on with the buffalo herd in Indian country today, Yellowstone's always slaughtering a bunch of them up there and that kind of stuff. And then the buffalo that we have here today, we would have to have a bigger herd, which would create a bigger pasture. So there's a lot of stuff in there, but I think if we were able to get this building up and running, if the tribe wants it, they're going to make it happen, you know. It's just one of the key words, like Rona, I'll pick on her since she turned her screen off, but one of the things that she always brings up is sustainability, which is a good point. You know, how do we sustain this? And so looking at those prices of what the school buys their product, their meat, how much do they use a year and stuff like that, those would be some things I would be interested in. And then possibly visiting with Mary about Kids Cafe, how much meat do they use and stuff like that. And then you have the Wolf's Den up at the college too, that would also be utilizing meat too. And then Ho Chunk Hope, depending on the funding source that comes in there, that would possibly be another client to sell to. far as for the healthy lifestyle. And then you also have with 12 Cleanse that's taken off, and when we're able to get that up and running to where we want it to be, then you have the cafe over there. That would also be something. So these are all areas within. We haven't even reached out to like Upstream City and stuff. You know, tell Degas, hey, you got to buy your meat from us, or we're taking our name back. You know, but those kind of things too. So we have a lot of businesses that we could reach out to. But I want to encourage you guys to keep on going on. I know sometimes talking with the council can be kind of discouraging because you put in a lot of time and effort and work, and then it's like, well, are you guys want us to do this or not? Because eating up a lot of energy. I could be working on other things, you know. So I don't want to discourage you like that. I want to try to keep you going, and I think this would make a good deal out there at the tribal farms. I think it's a good thing, and it would help us. The other thing that you could tap into is looking at wildlife and parks, as far as possibly having some of their hunters, when they come up and running deer through this thing, and then sending it home. A lot of times when some of the hunters come up, they have there's states out there that have a no bone tax, or no bone, you can't take bones across state lines. And so some of these guys will come up, they'll hunt a deer, they'll process it here, and then they'll have it mailed home. And by the time they end up at home, then the meat's already coming out of the mail there. So these are all just areas and places. Looking at Winnebago going forward, you know, what could we tap into as far as having them buying some of the beef from there, some of the buffalo, like Louis saying, you have to mix that with a certain percentage. And then also looking at some of the stuff down the road, the different casinos like Warhorse that's supposed to be popping off here sometime, and then selling, and what do they have for food and these kind of things. So there's a lot of stuff there. They even do beef jerky in some of the stores too. So, and that's like $3 a stick. They have it at the Pony now, but just trying to show you all these different areas where could possibly sell it to ourselves, I guess, in a way. So, but I just want to say thank you to you for doing this, and Trey too for speaking up. I was trying to get on earlier, but I couldn't get through, so I just ended up coming down here, rode my buffalo down here, come down here. So thank you.
Well, good comments.
Promotional project in the past already made arrangements with the public school and the areas. They fed buffalo, sold buffalo to the schools in the tribe, but they had USDA inspection. They had a plant in Norfolk that closed down. We don't have a plant nearby that we can buy from. It's already been done.
Thanks, Louis. Well, from what I'm hearing from the comments, we have a lot of internal customers. It sounds like this could be a self-sustaining thing if we had commitments from some of those entities and programs. So, Aaron, I know you got to go, but let's talk offline on this trip. Who's would like? I guess I'd like counsel, like of who's on the call. You know, who wants to take this up? Because we need somebody to do a lot of the follow through. Have sidebar meetings probably with you and Trey. So we'll work on that, on who we can get to commit to taking this trip and to really helping drive this into success for the membership. So thank you guys. And I just want to call on all our strengths. We have so many strengths and good ideas. I just want to start using them and helping finish. I was just saying that let's, Aaron has to get to the game, but if we could coordinate a smaller group discussion with Aaron on who wants to be involved in this and who will help facilitate and just put their energy in this direction. That's okay. You know, we say council who wants to drive this, it means come to the meeting. It means, you know, just know about it in general. So anybody I'm trying to encourage, I don't want to scare you off either. It's just like, just being involved, you know, and that's kind of what I mean. So we need to take this up as their favorite topic, and that will just be be helpful, so. So with that, thank you guys, and we'll get some follow-up because we got to keep this going and we can't wait another year, I guess, to figure this out. So thank you.
And
No,
Aaron,
thank you guys.
Louis,
and Aaron stay at the tribal office, not go to the game.
can he stay in what? Oh, can he stay not where the,
Aaron stay in the meeting and not go to the game.
he might, Aaron, what do you think?
I gotta go.
Okay,
Sorry, Louis. You can go, coach.
Thanks.
I do have to go, guys.
Good. Have a good night. So council, just to finish up our new business portion, the next one, before we jump back into the reading of the minutes, I'd like to recognize Joy and we'll do the USDA resolution.
Are you ready, Tori?
We're ready.
Okay. So I'm trusting that you've received a copy of the summary sheet and the resolution that we prepared. This is about the broadband. We've talked with and been in meetings with the National Telecommunications Administration, and they have not made their awards yet. It'll be more like March sometime if we're lucky. There was a tribal consultation on Friday. Those that I listened to, which was like 90% of the call, they were in favor of the NTIA putting in, along with the $1 billion that they've already authorized, the new funds that they have, which is another $2 billion. So we'll see where they go with that. But as a backup plan, USDA has what they call Reconnect Program out to assist. And so to do that, before we can even start the application process, we need to have authorization for 2 employees to do the authorization and the administration in their portal. And so that's what we're asking about today, is to provide Rita Dunn with the authorization as to sign off on certifications and that, which is what she typically does. And then myself as a backup as an administrator, and that allows both Rita and I to also go in and submit applications in this portal that USDA has. So that's what we're presenting to you at this point. At a later date, we will be sending to you the actual application for your approval.
Thanks, Joy. Just to piggyback off your comments, I was on that call on Friday. And one of the biggest takeaways I got from that was that there's not enough money. And what did they get? Like 9 billion, or they got 7 times more requests than they have funding for. And their kind of point was seek other funding and get all the funding you can for your projects, because we don't know where you'll land on this.
Exactly.
Is that what you got from that, Joy?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I had a private conversation with Adam a few days prior to that. And yeah, he reiterated the same thing.
Okay.
So this is our backup.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I'm so glad you guys are on it. So we drafted comments. I asked Jennifer to make some changes. When the question had been, which percentage of the additional 2 million do you think should go to the first round of projects? I think in our letter it said 90, but really it needs to be 100%. And then our comments were saying that we didn't want to have to respond to another FOA.
Yes.
So we're going to stay consistent with that. Are you good with that, Joy?
Yes, I had suggested 90% only, and that those that didn't have an opportunity to give them a shot. I was just trying to share.
No, we're just, so I was going to ask you to change that 90 to 100, just because if we already know that there's not enough money for round 1 applicants, I don't know why they'd open it up for round 2 and then give them 10%.
Right.
I guess Council Joy and her team and Brandon have been really on top of every single broadband funding source that there's available. And last week there was a consultation, and they told the tribes that there's not enough money, and everybody wants to know how much are you going to fund me for yet? And they're working through that, but it's hard to know what else we should apply for, like what Joy and them are doing now, when you didn't even tell us if we're funded and to what degree under this opportunity. So to just summarize all that, Joy is on it, and Lorelei, what's the next resolution number?
22-54.
Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 22-54 for the USDA Reconnect Program Community Connect? Do we have a motion by Louis? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Okay. Joy, is there anything else I could help you with or be on those calls or do anything? I didn't say anything on that call, even though we had comments, because everyone was saying the same thing. And that's just one of my annoying points is I didn't want to say the same thing. The discussion was going.
I think you're right. I think we covered it. I think that's the main points is tell us what we're getting so we know what we're going after. I will say that because of the news that they shared and us going after the USDA, we're going to have to look at how we cut back our existing project by about 10 million. We'll be visiting with Olson and Associates on the engineering side on Thursday of this week, Brandon and I, about what they're going to charge us to do that. I talked with Alan to line up some funds to be able to potentially cover that. So we'll be going over that shortly.
Okay. But will that decision not be final until we hear back from those people? Or is it just, you know, it'll be way less, so we need to scale back anyway?
I want to visit with the folks from Olson's because there is a caveat in the application that we might be able to squeak by and only need to reduce it by 1 million instead of 10 million. So until I have those conversations with them, I'm not going to know for sure.
Okay. Thanks. Does the council have any questions about that or the next steps for the broadband?
What was that resolution number again? 22- what, 154?
54.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, we're good there, Joy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, council, we'll jump back to the minutes. Isaac, we had the meat processing presentation first because there was other things this evening. So we're going to jump back to the beginning of the agenda and start with the reading of the minutes, council. We have January 7th, 2022 regular tribal meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
We have a motion by Rona. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. The second set of minutes are the January 11th, 22 land meeting and enrollment update. Do we have a motion for those minutes?
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried to, do we still have Brian with us? Brian? Okay, yeah, well, it shows he's still on. Motion carried 7-0.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, the next item is to ratify the 5 signature. Do we have a motion to ratify the 5 signature approval that made modifications to the, so let me just, for the memberships information, as you know, we've had ongoing illness in our community with whether it be the flu or the COVID pandemic. And so our administrators had identified a lot of people in the organization out sick and childcare being impacted. And so we received a memo from the CEO, and it says there's been a sharp increase in COVID cases in the area over the past week. As a result, several staff have reported childcare disruptions that have negatively impacted their ability to work. The tribal organization is requesting tribal council to approve the following accommodations to our policies to address this situation. So the two things that the council approved by 5 signature were a temporary 30-day waiver to be applied to our telecommunications policy that allowed lack of childcare to be in use, to request use, as well as this will apply to staff that are able to telework and will require supervisors and COO's approval. The second part that the council approved was a temporary 30-day waiver to the administrative leave policy that will allow staff who are not able to telework, who are unable to work due to lack of childcare, to request up to 40 hours of administrative leave. So the council approved that and was really thinking of all those that are impacted by some of our health ailments, and that we don't want people to be without their income, and just trying to do the best we can and make decisions that are appropriate when necessary. Did the council have any comment on that before we call for the motion? I know this is, all these things are new and we're dealing with them as the circumstances arise. So I just want to make sure I explained why we did that. I know it's critical when the tribe shuts down at noon or early, but I just want the membership to know that it's with the utmost caution on how that will impact tribal member services. Is there a
Motion to approve.
motion to ratify?
Motion to ratify.
We have a second.
Mayor
Second.
Eric.
Eric, did you second that? Okay.
Yes.
Second by Eric. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Thank you, council. So that will bring us down to old business. And council, as you know, we previously approved a tribal court assessment contractor, and Lorelei was kind enough to work on that for us. And we have a resolution in the packet. And that resolution, would that be 22-55, Lorelei? Yep. Okay. So do we have a motion to adopt resolution 22-55 when Jacqueline Long, attorney at law, to conduct a Winnebago tribal court assessment? Louis, are you motioning that? Do we have a second? Is that Isaac? Okay, Isaac seconds. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Madam Chair, just so the membership knows, the council had already approved this for Attorney Jacqueline Long to do our assessment of our tribal court. But the Constitution requires any time that we employ somebody and fix a fee as an attorney, it has to be adopted by resolution as well. And it has to go to the BIA regional director for approval. That's why we had to do this resolution.
Thank you, Lorelei. Isaac.
So just to make sure that it's clear, this is a contract?
I said contract, it's a resolution, but whenever you have a contract with an attorney, we have to do a resolution, and the BIA has to kind of rubber stamp it, I guess, if you will. We have to give them notice every time we hire an attorney, and we do that by resolution. And because they have to, I think in the Constitution it says approve. Is that what it says? The Secretary of Interior has to approve when the tribe hires an attorney. And so that's just some language that we have to comply with.
I was just bringing it up, and I know that reading the minutes and stuff and who all was supporting it and everything. I just brought it up to if it was a contract and then if we were paying per diem. And then the question that I'm catching now is that if it is a contract, then do we pay per diem for those people that are coming in that are contractors?
So whenever somebody has a contract, they would input their expenses. So if they say it's going to cost me, $500 to come there 3 times, that includes my mileage and the they would put a cost forward that we're willing to pay for their expenses. Or maybe in the contract, it might say expenses reimbursable up to, whatever that certain contract might say. So I'm I recall, there were some the money in there that she accounted for her travel. The one change that I do recall is that the original quote that we approved was based on the old mileage rate of 55 cents, and now it's 58 cents. So that's the only difference that I could see in that would have to do with travel. Anyone else have any feedback on that? Rona, do you have any thoughts on that?
I just had a thought, even though she's an attorney at law, she's not going to be representing us as an attorney. She's just on a contract to do services. Is there a difference? Because for me, I thought, attorney at law is they're representing us in court. They're trying a case.
No,
That's when it has to be approved.
What she's doing is, as an attorney that has already operated in a tribal court and even a tribal Supreme Court and served as a public defender for 35 years. We're asking her to look at our court system as an attorney with that knowledge. Are we providing enough prosecutor time?
Yeah,
What is our criminal caseload? That stuff. So she is using her knowledge and skills as an attorney, but she's not representing us in any kind of court action. She's taking a look at our court with attorney eyes and knowledge.
So that has to go through the BIA.
Yes,
that's part
anytime.
I don't see.
Yeah, it's right in the Constitution.
So we already called for the question. So that was part of the process we did not complete when we approved the RFP and the contract. We did not do the resolution. That brings us down into the tribal council items, and our first item, council, as you know, and this will be the announcement to the membership, is that Councilman John Snowball has decided to resign from tribal council, and John is moving on to further his career in law enforcement, which has been an ongoing passion of his. So council, John is not with us this evening. The meeting was supposed to happen last night, but John submitted a letter, as you saw in your email, that said he resigns from tribal council effective immediately, which would have been the 17th, effective the 17th, 2022. So with that, council, do we have a motion to accept Councilman John Snowball's resignation effective 1/17/2022?
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Eric. We have a second. We have a second from Lorelei. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Okay, council, do we have a motion to declare that tribal council member seat vacant? Motion by Louis. Do we have a second? We have a second by Eric. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Tribal council and tribal members, our administrators held a meeting earlier this afternoon to start planning and facilitating the special vote. And that is tentatively scheduled for February 8th. And tomorrow during our general council meeting, the tribal council will go over that election schedule and have discussion on firming up some of those details. And there will be more information forthcoming. I want to thank Councilman Snowball for his leadership and all the sacrifices he made to serve the people. And we wish him the best in his next endeavor. And it'll be a good role, as well as still giving his service to the people. So thank you. Is there any other questions or comments on that, on our next steps?
Thanks, John, for everything that he had a hand in. There's a lot of stuff that he had a hand in helping out. And when this first pandemic started, there was a task force that was created, and he kind of ramrodded that and tried to get a lot of these things going, far as even like the freezer disbursements and the meats and everything, and all these different things that we were trying to do, and how we were trying to change the tribe's schedules and routines. John kind of had a hand in with the team, had a hand in that, and I just wanted to say thanks to John for doing that on behalf of all the people that voted for him and that put him in here at the table. Some of the things that some of the work that some of the council members the past have done, sometimes they feel like they might have gone unrecognized, but John put in a lot of good work here at the table, and I just want to say thank you to you for doing that on behalf of everything that you've got the tribe this far through. When we first started out with this pandemic, one of the things was that the tribe came together, and I believe it was under Coley was chairman then, but he tried to get things rolling, and the rest of the council then at the time. But I wanted to look at that, and that's something really big. We started going down an avenue that we've never explored before. We've only heard history about these things, and through some of the teamwork that he was able to put in the time and stuff, we're able to kind of help the rest of the tribe out. So I just wanted to say that and acknowledge that on behalf of the membership and behalf of the things that he had a hand in. It was something really good. There was some hard decisions in there made on that when that time came. I remember we meeting in the gym, and they set up tables, and they called the tribe called a big meeting together, and kind of, what are we going to do and how are we going to do this? And so one of the things out of that first meeting that came out was we're going to start a task force, and we're going to start looking at ways to sustain the tribe without any help outside. If the highway shuts down, if the semis quit running, how are we going to do this? And so those kind of things are real important. And I don't know if the membership was real aware of how much time and effort went into that, but there was a lot that went into that. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can you hear me? I would like to make a subsequent motion to authorize the chair and the secretary to take all actions necessary to effectuate the necessary election.
We have a motion by Brian. Do we have a second? A second by Louis. Discussion.
Line.
So thank you, Brian, for that motion. This will be added tomorrow to our general council agenda. The CEO brought me the documents today that include some scheduled drafts. They did meet with general council today, and that will be presented to council tomorrow, as well as the budget that it will take to hold a special election. Well, we've been calling, I guess it's called the special vote because and this is what we'll talk about tomorrow in general council is the Constitution only says special election one place. And so under the past leadership, there was a special election, and the council had decided that they would have this special election to bring forward the qualified candidates that the council would then appoint. And so that's the way it's done. And so we just want to be consistent with that, to have this special vote so that the people are the ones that elect who will fill the remainder of John's term. And we've seen it done a variety of ways. We've seen people just appointed to finish a term. We've seen special elections, and we're just wanting to be consistent and really put the power back into the people's voice on who they want to sit at the table. And so tomorrow that schedule will be presented to the council, and we'll flesh out some of the details like first day of intent and things like that. Lorelai?
I just want the membership to know that the Constitution says in one place that the council will hold a special election. And in that one place, it's for, to remove a tribal council member. So last year, this council revised how in the election code, how a vacancy is filled, wanting the people's vote to fill any vacancy. So that way, no one's ever appointed to a council seat, the people vote. But to be in line with the Constitution, we couldn't call it a special election because there's only one way you have a special election, that's to remove a council member. So that's why in the code, as we revised it, we called it a special vote. So that's the terminology you'll see when the council agrees tomorrow on all the dates, notice of intent, all that stuff. It's going to be called a special vote so that we stay in line with the Constitution. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorelei. And so we have a motion on the table. Is there any further discussion? Objection to the motion?
Madam Chair, is there a second?
There was a second by Louis.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Council, that brings us to the next item in our agenda, and that's an executive session. We have one of the tribal members that is going to be joining us for executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session? We have a motion by Rona. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. We will go and enter the executive session link. I don't see any other business, so we will adjourn the executive session link. Thank you to the tribal members and presenters that joined us this evening, and we'll see you next time. Stay healthy and take care.
Can we take a 10?
Sure.
18.
10-minute break and then see you in executive then?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.